Howdy, I'm Parker Mustian, and I hate black people. They're the worst. They're stinky, and they just suck. They're just bad people. If you notice over there is a box of Jordans. The favorite pair of shoes for a black man. I'm going to show you what I think of a black man. All
So even with the bleeping, I think you get the basic idea of what that video was about. It was posted willingly by that student who recorded it and then posted it because he wanted people to know what he thought of people who weren't quite like him in this country. And what's interesting about that is that it's racist. It's also incredibly violent. It's exactly the sort of thing that you'd imagine we would find out about after that kid went through a high school or a college shooting as many people as possible, and we'd wish that we would have known. So that video was released, and eventually the student was actually kicked out of their school, but the lag was significant. So the student at Cardinal Newman High School in Columbia, South Carolina, eventually in late July was allowed to withdraw before being expelled. But the videos were actually found in early May. So months went by, months, where the kid was allowed to continue going to that school, even though we know that he had weapons. He despised black people and could have at any time gone and shot as many people as he wanted. JR?
Okay, when I first saw this, it's one of those things where we go with who's the next shooter gonna be? And there's countless kids like this, by the way. This isn't a one-off look at our society. There's lots of folks like this and they get stoked. It's people like that are born like this, that grow up like this because their parents teach them this stuff, which I think also happened. So when you have people who are being groomed to be this way, then you have someone in office, multiple people in office, by the way, that helps stoke this kind of agitation and think they can get away with it because they feel the rest of the country feels the way they do, openly. Things like this happen. Now, Trump was talking about the things we need to do to stop mass shootings and hate. First off, yesterday when he said hate speech or white supremacy is a problem and we got to stop all this, and he didn't really mean it. He went into mental illness. He went into we have to do background checks.
Video games.
And video games. So which part of video games forced him? I know there's that video game where they call people the N-word all the time and they shoot at black boxes of Nikes and simulate black people. There's that mental illness where you shoot at black boxes of Jordans and say it's a black person because that's the mental illness. And background checks would keep this guy in the middle of the woods in South Carolina, wherever he is, from getting that gun that he took out of his dad's drawer.
Arsenal.
Or it's probably in his own drawer because his father gave it to him. Anyway, it goes, these things don't stop the breeding of hatred and bigotry and racism in the country.
Yeah.
None of that is gonna stop it, but this will continue to happen.
Yeah, and so this is a demonstration of what we talked about, I think on Monday. It was Parker Loia had a great tweet to this effect, and she was talking specifically about mental illness, but whatever you wanna call what you saw in that video there, that was not a perfectly functioning person. So the question is, what do you do then? And I'm asking the right wing, who say this is not about guns, this is about finding the wrong people and stopping them from doing it. Okay, so that kid, do you take his guns? And if not, please explain why you think a guy who says, this is what I do to black people, I shoot at them, why he should continue to have his guns. Is it about hunting? Is it about self-defense? All that BS that they love to talk about is the reason that people need to have a whole bunch of guns. Is that why he has it? Or is it because he could snap at any minute and start shooting people? Yep. And he wants to be ready if that happens.
Eventually he gets tired of shooting at boxes in the middle of the woods. That gets boring. Everyone knows that. If you're shooting at targets all the time, eventually it gets boring. You want to see something moving. That's probably why part of the thrill of hunting. It's something that's moving. It's trying to avoid you. So eventually that all gets boring. And this guy has a target audience that he wants to come after. Again, the bad people that Trump talks about, ask him, is he one of them? Is Parker one of them?
Exactly, and the idea that they left this kid in that school for 3 months, they were lucky that nothing happened, especially when we find out that police have a number of other videos that he created. We're gonna show you one more to get an idea that this wasn't just one video. I mean, it would be literally the worst thing anyone had done to make even one, but it was a pattern of things he was doing.
Hey, it's me again, Parker Mustian, hater of all black men. Look over here, it seems that our hasn't quite learned his lesson yet. Seems like he needs 25 rounds to the dome. I don't think that was enough. Thank you very much for watching my PSA.
And now just imagine him in a crowd, acting out the fantasy that he so wants to act out. Yep. But again, white supremacy is a hoax. That message brought to you by Tucker Carlson. And look, not that it matters, any student doing this should be a concern because that's a future school shooter right there. But he's connected to important people. He's the grandson of disgraced Republican political kingmaker Richard Quinn, who is himself now facing decades in prison as part of a years-long corruption investigation of GOP state lawmakers. He was also, by the way, a political strategist who worked with Henry McMaster, Lindsey Graham, Strom Thurmond, and John McCain, as well as Ronald Reagan. In fact, he worked with Lindsey Graham as of just 3 years ago. Maybe he doesn't share any of the views of his deranged son, but maybe his son learned them somewhere. Maybe he learned them at home.
Maybe while your kid's out shooting at boxes and stuff in the middle of the woods, you don't know where he is. Or maybe you do know where he is. Maybe he comes home and talks about it and you're like, oh, boys will be boys. Whatever the excuses you have for not knowing or knowing about what your kid is doing is not enough. There's no excuse for this. And just a friendly reminder again, because I feel like this kind of went away. Yes, your former president, Ronald Reagan, was a vowed racist.
Oh, yeah.
And so that happened, and some people, I think his daughter or granddaughter cried over it and said, I can't believe what happened. Oh, well, yeah. You didn't pay much attention to your grandfather.
Yeah.
Either way it goes. Just for a friendly reminder.
Yeah.
In case we forgot.
Yeah. Although I also heard yesterday John Voight said that we cured racism a long time ago. And if anyone would know, I think John Voight would know.
And he's in Hollywood.
He is, sort of. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.